I'd heard that the venerable Crosman 1377 and 1322 pistol has a new look, and sure enough, after decades of faux wood plastic grip and forearm, Crosman decided it was time to bring this pistol up to date. It now has an engineered black polymer grip and forearm with a smooth or textured finish. Internally, it's the same as recent production, only the look and feel have changed. But the big news was the Armada, the Magpul-styled version of the Benjamin Marauder, and of course the new big-bore bullpup, the Bulldog 357.
All right, well, I'm here with Russ Page. He's a design engineer with Crosman, and he's been involved in the new Crosman Bulldog project. So we're going to talk a little bit with him. I'm interested in the origins of this gun. What was the purpose, and where did you start on your design?
Well, a couple years ago, we did the Benjamin Rogue, 357 caliber, electronically controlled PCP, and it was well received, but at the same time, it was expensive, had a lot of high technology items in it, electronics, things of that nature, and it was quite long, it was quite heavy and front heavy, and there was a lot of guys that liked it, but there was always, you know, it would be better if kind of things going on. As well, because of the electronics, there's always, you know, reliability issues, and we wanted to eliminate all that. At the same time, it was an adjustable gun, and what we found out was that people really weren't using the adjustability of the gun. So here we were adding a lot of technology that people just weren't using.
So this is a hunting gun?
Absolutely, yes, for large game, anything from feral hogs, coyotes, white-tailed deer, things of that nature in that category. So this is a
had you designed a bullpup before this?
No, I hadn't. In fact, I was kind of anti-bullpup. It really wasn't my go-to design style. But we had a fellow come in, a pro hunter, Ian Harford, and he had used the Rogue extensively on hunts in West Africa and around Europe. And he complained about the length, the weight, the balance. And when he knew we were going to redo it, he came to us and said, guys, this is an opportunity to, have you thought about a bullpup? It's shorter. He really wanted to see us do something that was easier to carry. So I was hard to convince, but we ended up there, and I'm very glad we did.
Now this is 357. Is that the same as the Rogue, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. We're using the same Nosler bullet. It's a 145 grain, solid cast bullet, and we get about 180 foot-pounds of energy out of that over 5 shots. We can get about 170 foot-pounds of energy over 10 shots. 145 grain.
Okay, and that's traveling?
About 740 feet per second. So it's subsonic. It keeps it quieter that way. And we have a reservoir or a shroud here that actually takes the air that's expanding outside of the barrel, and it absorbs that, helps reduce the noise.
I understand the barrel stops about where the end of the tube is there.
Yeah, the barrel actually is a couple inches back from the end of the reservoir cap, and that's what helps the air expanding gets absorbed into the shroud and muffles that sound.
Okay, what kind of rails do we have on this?
Full-length Picatinny rail here, so you can mount not only scopes, but if you have a night vision system, some guys have a night vision system that goes in front of the scope, so we can do that. We also have a Picatinny rail underneath that can hold a bipod or flashlight, high-intensity flashlights they have now. So a lot of Picatinny rail space on this gun.
Okay, and what's the capacity on the air cylinder?
The air cylinder holds 340 cc's of air at 3,000 psi, so you get about 10 full power shots on it.
What kind of design issues did you run into here with this thing? I know the trigger's always a stumbling block for these bullpups.
The triggers with bullpups are a little bit of a challenge because you have a trigger up front, then you always have to have a connecting rod, and with that you have drag, component tolerance stack up, things of that nature. And so we had to work real hard to try to come up with a design that eliminated all those issues. We have nylon pieces inside there. They're glass filled to eliminate stretch and what you might get deflection. And hardened steel parts and the trigger mechanism itself.
Now, is the sear, as I understand it, is the sear in the rear or up front? Or?
Yeah, the sears are actually in a receiver section back here. And then the connecting rod comes right from a little bell crank type piece all the way up to the main trigger mechanism up here.
So at the front of the trigger, there's no mechanism here to cause the drag or the hard pull, anything like that?
Correct. It's a simple trigger safety up in front here that blocks the trigger, and there's no complicated mechanism up here like some other guns might have a trigger and then hook to another trigger.
Right.
This is simply a trigger pivot point with essentially the trigger blade, then it pulls directly on the rod back to the main trigger mechanisms back inside the receiver.
Okay, and this is a side cocker here.
Yeah, it's a side cocking lever, 5-round magazine, and it also has the capability of being converted to a left hand. What we did is we put a filler piece on this side of the cheek weld with some disassembly, a little reassembly. You move the filler piece on the right-hand side, and now you're a side cocking lever on the left-hand side for the left-handed shooter. So essentially, in that case, it's a convertible gun to be totally ambidextrous.
Well, we got to do something for those left-handers.
Well, I happen to be one of them.
That's why.
That's why I always build that in.
Okay. Can we take a quick look at the magazine?
It's a fairly simple design. It just has a rotating drum. It takes 5 shots.
5 shots, okay.
And it also has a little green dot that shows you when you've completely filled it. When it's completely empty, it puts a blocking mechanism there so you can't close the side cocking lever. And it also indicates that with a red dot in the same place. So with a quick visual cue, you know that you're definitely out of ammo.
Well, if you can't cock it, that probably gives it away too, because that blocks it.
It sure does, but yesterday at Media Day, we had some people pushing a little harder and thinking that, well, maybe it's just jammed. And so the red indicator helps with that as well from a visual standpoint.
Okay, now do you have information on the pricing of this?
Yes, the MSRP is just under $1,000. I think it's $999 MSRP. Exactly where that's going to end up on the street price, I'm not really sure. But
and are these available now, or are they in the stores?
We're looking at a February availability for this.
Oh, okay, good. Well, so that's it. The new Bulldog 357 Bullpup from Crossman. Russ, thank you very much for taking the time and chatting with us.